Welcome to the 3Haunted podcast, where we bring you all things horror, supernatural, folklore, mythology, and all things that go bump in the night.
What's up, everybody? This is your co-host, Ashley Lunar Goddess, Gorilla Girl filmmaker and horror-loving cinephile. I'm just your average podcast-producing badass.
I'm John Thomas. Some would say that I go a little too far with my love of all things horror, paranormal, and meta, but I say, talk nerdy to me, and I'm all yours.
What's up, ghouls, gals, and all of our meta pals out there? In today's episode, we'll be discussing energy, mental rewiring, and the SINC method. Joining us to dive into this topic is Coach Adam Bones of Boost Mindset, also known as Bone Daddy. Welcome, Bone Daddy.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
I was very excited just to say that. So my night is made.
Told you she was going to throw it in there.
Same here.
I had to. You threw me that bone.
We're full of bad jokes here too, so yes.
Keep them coming.
Lots of dad jokes.
I know. If I can't make a bad joke, then my day is not made. So, welcome, Adam. Now, first thing that John always asks me is, how did you meet this person? So, for those that are tuning in that don't know, obviously, I come across amazing people in all of the different aspects of life. But one of my number one places I have been known to find someone is on TikTok. Which is kind of funny because Adam, Bone Daddy, I used to be very opposed to TikTok.
Oh, yeah, same here.
And here we are.
I found a lot of interesting people there as well, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's once you train your algorithm, you can find amazing individuals on there. You just have to take the time to train it. How long have you been on TikTok?
I've been on TikTok for a couple years, but I got a little more serious about it over the past, I'd say, 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah. Not really serious in the traditional definition of the term. I try not to be too serious these days, but you know what I mean.
Of course. You actually focused a little bit more on growing the platform.
Exactly. And connecting with folks on there. Exactly.
I find it interesting because I feel like out of all the platforms, that's the one where I feel people engage more. Like they are more courageous with typing and expressing what they're feeling, the problems they're going through, and trying to connect with the person that's live.
That's right. That's why I'm there. Exactly. There's a lot more engagement. There's a lot more what I feel is authenticity, and that's what I really like about it. About TikTok. Originally, obviously, it was girls dancing in their bedrooms and things like this. But over time, you start to realize that wow, it's really giving a voice to people in all the corners of the world. So that's pretty cool.
I mean, the girls are still dancing in their bedroom, but now we've at least got additional voices. Right.
But they're not in my algorithm, okay?
Well, that's the speaking to that we trained it.
Yes. John's like, wait, they're still in my algorithm.
Yeah, they pretty much are, sadly.
Sadly.
I'm just messing with you.
I like it.
So when I came across your live, you used a word that I don't want to call it a trigger word because it's a positive. Can triggers be positive? Positive yes. Trigger word? Okay, yeah. Then you used one of my positive trigger words. You were talking about all things energy. So my first question to you is, have you always been on that path of being like in tune with and connecting to the idea of energy, or when did that start to become pronounced in your life?
Yes, I have always been on that path, but it's definitely like taken on different colors and flavors and characteristics. As a child, I think I was totally on this path, but because it scared the shit out of my father, pardon my language.
No, we're one of those.
We're good there?
Yep.
All right, sweet. Yeah, my father was scared. I could tell. He didn't fancy me thinking as deeply as I did. And you know how kids say, they keep asking why, and the parent tries to answer the question. They keep going until they're just like exhausted, and they're like, just because, okay? And they sort of lose their cool. Well, my father was a little more forceful than that. He said, don't think too deeply. philosophers are never happy. But what my father failed to recognize was that this was like a natural tendency coming through for me. And what I know now is that it's better to allow people to find their natural pathways and to really live in those and really nurture those. So my father wasn't the most nurturing person, but I ended up fighting a lot with my father over this very subject, wanting to be my own person, wanting to go my own way. And he really wanted to train me. And so there were some dark years there in my early adulthood and my youth that I feel like, you asked me if I've always been on this path. I feel like it felt like a diversion from the path, right? Under my father's tutelage. And then whenever I left the home, I really floundered for a while, like a lot of young men and women do, especially if you live under the controlling atmosphere that I did. And so long story short, yes, I've always been on this path, but it's definitely taken on like different trajectories, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it was all that stress, all that strife, all that struggle that eventually led me to that breaking point, where it's like, enough is enough. I got to find a better way.
So you said enough is enough. I got to find a better way. Around what point in your life did you really start to find that better way?
Gosh, really, I say that my awakening started in 2017, and it wasn't until 2019 that I really sort of plunged into the depths of a dark night of the soul. And that was really, the truth is that, transformation gets rough. Not for everybody, but for most of us, it's a metamorphosis, just like a caterpillar going into the cocoon, into the darkness, right? You don't know that you're heading towards emerging as a butterfly and you're going to fly off and you're going to end up finding your way. So yeah, those were some dark years, but that's kind of a timeline of when my path got really intense, when I could no longer operate from the old paradigm, and I had to find a better way. Like I said earlier, I had to, because I was dying inside. It's just that decrepit, rotting feeling inside where from the outside looking in, you would have never known, except that I was becoming more and more serious, and people were noticing this and they were telling me this. And I didn't really like to hear that, to be honest, but
we never do.
Yeah.
Where did you, I guess there's so many resources and so many avenues, especially around 2017, 2019. How did you start to parse through all of that to figure out what spoke to you, what worked for you?
Well, it was a massive fallout with my father in 2019. We had been doing this. We were trying to go into business together, and it was my idea, even though deep down I knew it was a recipe for failure and disaster. I still did it. Don't ask me why. It's just one of those things in life that sort of walk into the lion's den. But after 2 years of attempting to, spearhead this project, by the way, I've been growing cannabis for 15 years on my own at this time, but I learned the trade from my father. So I'm a second generation cannabis grower, at least I was, until I completely, finally transformed my life. We had this massive falling out. I couldn't listen to him anymore, be as, dictatorial, is that the word? Controlling and pretty much demeaning. And I was just starting to hate myself for not speaking up, not being more strong, being able to stay in my own frame. Instead, I would always lose my frame and I would end up feeling bitter, disheartened. And I started to develop this fear, real fear of missing out. Like, what about my life kind of thing? And so one fateful night, we're in one of these sort of disagreements and I say, you know what, Pop, I'm out. I don't like your leadership. That was a massive, massive move on my part. I know this because I felt it in my gut like I've never felt anything before. I couldn't sit down. I couldn't stand up. I just felt this excruciating pain in my gut. And I found out later what was going on. I was experiencing extreme energetic dissonance to the point of physical pain. because what I did was I spoke something that was an absolute lie. I put all the blame on my father. I said, I don't like your leadership, therefore I got to bow out. That was the ultimate moment of disconnection from my true power. As odd as that sounds, it sounds almost like you're standing up for yourself, but at the same time, it was this departure from where my power really was sourced. And I felt that. I felt that despair. I felt that disconnection and extreme pain in my gut. So, trying to remember the question. The question was it what resources or what guided me that way?
How you knew what resources to find. But I'm curious if you could expand more on what energetic dissonance is. You do speak to that on your TikTok live, so I'd love to hear more about it.
Oh, yeah. So I had started studying energy in 2017 as I was going through this partnership with my father, because I was experiencing more and more misery. And I needed to find something. And so what I was doing was I was looking on YouTube, what's going on here? Why do I feel so helpless? And why is my relationship so distraught between my father and I was seeking answers. Okay. And I was typing this into YouTube. And I was looking for answers because YouTube is a wealth of knowledge, right? Well, one day I came across the words of Abraham Hicks. Abraham Hicks was really kind of the genesis of this move toward becoming an energy practitioner and a mindset coach and going my own way and tapping into my true heart's desire. All of those things were really sourced there. So I was listening to Abraham. Are you guys familiar with Abraham Hicks?
Is that the group, the collective that, is it Esther Challenge?
That's correct.
Channels? Oh, okay.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's absolutely
Sorry, I'll
correct.
let you speak more to that. I just have a very rudimentary idea.
Okay. Yeah, well, I think your audience would probably, would know Abraham. Abraham Hicks, exactly as Esther Hicks, she channels the non-physical entities known as Abraham. And at the time, I totally did not believe in channeling. Okay, so it was actually a little bit like difficult for me to, let me take that back. It really wasn't, because I was listening to the words. I could not deny the message. It just piqued something in my brain right away when I heard Abraham speaking. And the basis of Abraham's teaching is that desire is as close to our spirit as we can get in this life experience. And so every painful experience we have, every experience really carries with it a resulting desire. And our work is to get in harmony with that. Now, Abraham went on to explain that, we're fundamentally energetic beings. We're made out of energy. And to answer your question, with regards to energy, Abraham taught me that, source energy is within me and within you and you, John, and the rest of the people. That was a revelation to me. I was raised without religion, without any spirituality, yet it was there. I just needed to hear it from someone, and then it piqued it inside of myself. So when you hear a message and it resonates with you, that's because you did know it. It was inside of you the whole time. And it's literally energetic resonance with that inner knowing that you have when you hear that thing. So that's what happened with Abraham when she told me source energy is inside of you. Not only that, but source energy is guiding you. And so that brought up the subject of the emotional guidance system. So now I started to understand what emotion was. Emotion, or energy in motion, is what happens when we think. When we think, our brain is like a transmitter of energy and a receiver. It's receiving a signal of energy. It's creating an image or a movie in the mind. And that is really flashing through the nervous system, an energy transmission through the nervous system that we pick up as feeling. So that right there was like, whoa, I had no idea that emotion is actually guidance from source telling me, which way to go. And so that started a process of me learning how to tap into my own emotion, my own energy, and listen to it and start to let it guide me. Although I was still in this place where my father was guiding me. And so it set me up for that energetic dissonance. Energetic dissonance is when I'm vibrating in a way that's not resonant with source. Right? So in other words, I can think something that source doesn't think. I can feel something that source doesn't feel. that gives me negative emotion. If that's allowed to perpetuate for long enough, it becomes anxiety. If we allow the anxiety to keep going, it becomes depression. So to the extent that we don't listen to that energy and let it guide us and actually make moves to operate in harmony with it, well, we erode, we disintegrate, we fall into depression.
And do you think that also, like with that energetic dissonance, that leads to like energetic blocks that can manifest in like physical what's limitations, whether it be dis-ease, or I'm trying to think of the right words, but for example, people that have strong energetic blocks that end up having like back issues and hip problems and stuff like that?
100%. 100%. I tell you what, Abraham also taught me to meditate. And through meditation, which helps create energetic alignment, literally, you guys, on a cellular level, please don't overlook the value of meditation. I know it's a cliche these days, and you hear it over and over and over, and it's to the point where it's like, yeah, I'll do it next time. I'll do it tomorrow. But something magical happens. And I found this out after I finally sat my ass down and did it. After I had heard like 100 times, you got to meditate, you got to meditate. Well, luckily, I was blessed with an incredible experience the first time I did. And I sat there and got silent. It only took about 5 minutes for me to feel this insane state change. All of a sudden, there was this load lifted off my shoulders, and I felt energetic harmony starting to come in. I'm telling you this story because now I truly believe that meditation is a cure for physical pain. Why? Because it creates that energetic alignment on a cellular level. Our cells are just little energy bubbles, for lack of a better word. It's like we're made out of energy. And so many people forget about this, or they don't know it at all, but we just get caught up in the day-to-day, that low level cognizance where we're dealing with words and phrases and concepts that are just perpetuated by the news and the media, and we're hypnotized by it, literally. So by sitting still and silent, amazing things happen, not just in the body. Not only do you come into harmonic resonance in the body on a cellular level so that you can create coherence. Coherence is something that Joe Dispenza talks about, another one of my favorite mentors. Coherence is whenever, again, your cells are sort of operating together instead of against each other. So think of energetic dissonance like your cells on an energetic level are working against themselves, right? And that in that state, you're going to feel pain. You're going to feel emotional pain, physical pain, and even mental pain. You're going to feel pain. So we don't listen to the pain. What do we do instead? We drink. We distract with scrolling. There's any number of things that people do. You can run from it, you can hide from it, but it's only going to grow until we actually do the work to create that energetic alignment or resonance or harmony, however you want to look at it. So, yeah, yes, you can cure your physical ailments. You can cure your mental illness, your emotional problems through this work.
One of the things that I love that you do is that you, on your live streams, you guide people through meditations as you do that yourself. And to add to the level of complexity, not only do you guide people through it, but you're also in an ice bath while doing it, which I still don't know how you keep your voice so steady when you're in freezing water outside, and yet there you are calmly guiding everybody to take a deep breath in and breathe out. And I'm going to help guide you through a meditation. Like, it's pretty powerful. And then here I am, like, shivering for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is radical. It's fun.
Now, in one of your streams, you mentioned that trauma actually can inhibit, unresolved trauma can prevent the flow of energy and that accumulates over time. So when we're talking about trauma, with the fact that you do coaching and the boost mindset, do you help people through how to address that trauma so that it's no longer an obstacle in that energetic flow?
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. I think we've all experienced some trauma. Go ahead.
I was going to ask, what is the SINC method? You have mentioned it, and it's SINC, right?
That's right. Self-introspective neural conditioning, which is a fancy way of saying look within and study yourself, and then rewire your brain and body based on what you learn. Okay? The self-introspection is turning your attention inward, which you can do through meditation. You can do through journaling, okay, guided journaling, specific journaling, so that you learn about yourself. And that's, by the way, what is done traditionally in talk therapy. You go to a therapist, you're going to start excavating some things. You're going to start asking deeper questions about yourself. You're going to reveal things about yourself. You're going to have some ahas and some epiphanies. Very important part of the work, right? However, if you don't move on to the next part of the SINC method, which is neural conditioning, then what you do is you continue to reinforce the same neural pathways. You continue to reinforce the same trauma loop that you inherited. Why? Because it's not exactly the trauma that caused all this pain for you. What it is the habit of thinking that you picked up from the trauma. So trauma was difficult. It was so difficult that you didn't even feel comfortable being in your body when it happened. And so in an attempt to escape, you went to some mind-made fantasy. In other words, you fractured your consciousness from this present body into some ethereal place. You left the body, so to speak, at least cognitively. And they call that cognitive dissonance in therapy, right? We talked about dissonant energy. Well, in therapy and psychology, they call it cognitive dissonance. And again, it's this idea that you can fracture your consciousness and it splits off. And what happens when part of your consciousness splits off is you create almost like multiple personalities within yourself. So when you hear people talking about inner child work, this is the essence of it. As a child, your needs weren't met, and that was sometimes particularly horrifying to you. And so you coped in this way. You coped by avoiding it, avoiding those feelings because your needs weren't met, all right? Now, that was clearly a traumatic event. However, if you would have been taught how to then think clearly, think appropriately, bring your attention back into this body and start to mold your thoughts in a powerful, positive way, well, then you wouldn't have lived with all this inner pain and blockages as you brought up, that cause physical pain, they cause emotional pain, they cause damaging results in your life in terms of relationships, not trusting people, blowing up on people, blaming others. These are all symptoms of that blocked energy inside of you. And that is very much what's happening when you fracture your consciousness and you have that dissonant energy. Well, you become a resistor. You're more resistant to energy flow. And we don't want to resist the flow of energy. When we resist the flow of energy, it builds up. And when energy builds up inside our body, it doesn't have anywhere to go. It causes, as you said earlier, dis-ease. Sounds a lot like disease, doesn't it? For a reason. Because that's exactly what it is. If it's allowed to persist.
Anybody else felt called out when he was saying that, but I did. Is
so?
he just describing me point for point for point?
Yeah, you're not alone in this. Yeah.
I feel strangely called out. Now, with the conditioning,
yeah.
Is that where you integrate in the PARs?
Good question. Really good question. The PARs are intended to do both parts. The self-introspection, the learning about yourself, the discovering things that have been hidden in your psyche. And the neural conditioning now is an understanding that you can rewire your brain. You can rewire those neural pathways. You can teach yourself how to think better. When you think better, you fire and wire new neural circuitry, new neural pathways through the brain and the nervous system, releasing, and here's the kicker, new chemistry in your body. Interestingly, this all comes down to chemistry in the body. So I find this fascinating, this part, because here we are, we're this like transmitter and receiver of energy. We receive energy from source energy. It comes into our brain first and we form an image. That image fires through our nervous system, releasing chemistry in the body. Isn't that interesting how non-physical turns into a picture in the mind, This is all energy, mind you. Energy fires through the nervous system, creating chemistry. So if anyone ever wondered how thoughts become things, this is exactly how. We're talking about non-physical to physical, energy to chemistry, and that chemistry galvanizes us into action or non-action in our life. So the energy you have to go out there and take action towards your goals or your dreams is going to be dependent on how you're flowing energy in this manner. Did I answer your question? I'm sorry, I'm so passionate about this that I sometimes go off on tangents.
No, it's okay. I don't know if you did, but I'm here on board with it.
You asked me about the PARs, which are positive alignment rituals. And I said that these PARs are intended to help you with the whole process. And a positive alignment ritual is a ritual that you install in your life to tap back into source, to reconnect with source, so that you can become that clean and clear conduit for energy once again and heal your body from the inside out.
So for people that have experienced trauma and continue to, because we're living life, we're going to continue to experience things that are not always in line with our truth. How can they untangle and understand what is coming from source and what is our own traumatic mental wiring, if that makes sense?
Well, the untangling happens when you do what Neville Goddard suggests. Neville Goddard is a New Thought author, early 1900s. He wrote the books The Power of Awareness and Feeling is the Secret, and he's one of the best. He's famous for the phrase, assume the wish fulfilled. It's a very powerful statement when we break it down. And he speaks on the power of assumption, the law of assumption, in fact. And that states that whatever you assume to be true will be true for you. Okay. So your reality is going to be based on your assumptions. Now, imagine if you started to assume the wish fulfilled. The wish fulfilled is your goal, your dream, your desire. What if you started to assume it was true? Okay. Now, I know that might sound wacky to a lot of people. Like, what the hell is he talking about? That sounds like some woo-woo nonsense. Okay. Now, that is the voice of your mother or father or grandparents coming through, by the way. So I want you to do another thing that Neville Goddard suggests and disengage from the evidence of your senses. And you said, did you say disentangle? Did you use that word?
I don't know.
Untangle or something?
Probably. I think I said untangle, but that works too.
Untangle. Yeah. This is how you do it. You disengage from the evidence of your senses. Why? Because what you see, hear, touch, taste, and smell is actually not reality. It's your illusion. It's the illusion of reality, right? So in other words, we've become trained, oftentimes because of the trauma from our past, to see the world in a very particular way.
What do we engage into? I understand disengage from the senses, but then what are we then engaged into?
Great question. And that is the wish fulfilled. That is re-engaging your imagination, because it's the imagination that gets held hostage or imprisoned by this illusion of reality that we're now seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, and feeling. I think I got all the senses there. Our senses are fooling us. They're fooling us. How do I know? Just look around at people's perspectives on the world. Do you see that everyone has a unique perspective on the world? Do you know that no two people will ever agree on one subject if you drill down deep enough? If you keep asking questions, if you keep dissecting, if you keep going, eventually there will be a disagreement. Usually you'll find it really fast, by the way. But sometimes you get a couple people that are, oh my gosh, we think so much alike. We'll hang out for a while. We're about to find the disparity between how we think, okay? The reason I'm saying that is because every 8 billion people have a unique perspective. What does that tell you? No one actually has a beat on reality, except for this, that everyone's living their own reality. So this is a fundamental truth that you must understand if you're going to understand mindset and how to rewire your life and how to re-engage with something more powerful, as you just asked, which is such a powerful question to ask. We must first realize, fully realize. I don't just mean like, oh yeah, that's stimulating, that makes sense. No, I mean, in your meditation, you have this full body realization. Oh my God, I create my own reality. not only can I, but I already am. And I always have been. I've been projecting what I think is objective reality, but it's not objective. It's subjective. It's only true for me. Therefore, it opens up this window for me to change it. What if, okay, if no one else sees the world the way I do, and there isn't this objective reality, this hard, concrete thing that we call reality, then is it possible that I can play with that? Can I shift it? Can I tap into something inside myself that enables me to change the picture or the movie that's playing in my mind? And the answer is absolutely. And it's what every ancient sage, saint, mystic, guru, and sacred text has been teaching us that we've been missing throughout history. Remember when Jesus Christ said that the kingdom of heaven is within you? And they also said that we're made in his image. Okay? They're referring to our creative ability to create reality. And it's been said by many others, all of them.
So when you talk about the wish fulfilled and getting rid of the senses and focusing on the wish fulfilled, how does that translate if the wish is based on a traumatic motivator? For example, I know you've mentioned this on your live streams, is the idea that like people have this idea of success or needing to be something that isn't necessarily in line with their truth. But to them, it's driven by maybe a traumatic response, whether it's scarcity or something else that now drives those wishes. Is it the wish is fulfilled after we've done some mental rewiring, or is the wish fulfilled mentality part of that rewiring? I'm a lot of
Such a
words
good
here.
question. No, like you're hitting right on the most important questions of transformation. Because here's the key. You got to deprogram first. Listen, though, I didn't know that. And when I went to go study with Bob Proctor, he didn't tell me that. Okay. And he didn't tell me that for a reason, because it's a transformation that happens when you start to practice this stuff. And once you start tapping into your desire and you start playing with the idea that I'm absolutely unequivocally worthy of whatever I desire, and you start asking the question, well, what do I desire? That sparks the journey. So it doesn't matter where you're at, right? With what you want. You know, you could be someone who wants to be filthy rich. You can be someone who just wants peace and serenity. You know, in this realm, there's no judgment. It's an interesting part of the journey. You got to lay down all the criticism and judgment when you realize that that all came from your old paradigm. When you realize that the criticism and the judgment is actually holding me apart from tapping into my true heart's desire. But I'm not going to lie to you. Yes, what you just asked is so important. There is a journey of self-discovery that you embark on. And when I first set my big goals, my C goal, as Bob Proctor calls it, or your worthy ideal, it was coming from ego. And guess what that did? That plunged me into a pit of despair. Why? Because I just set these big old goals and these dreams, and I was immediately stimulated by it. But then within like a couple hours, I went back to my hotel room. I was at this big event with Bob Proctor, and I sat there on the couch, and I was just completely overwhelmed. And I was like, wait, what's going on here? Why do I feel like crap? And then I fell into despair. I felt like I got hit by a bus all of a sudden. I'm sitting there meditating, and tears are rolling down my face, and all this emotion is coming up. And I realized, holy shit, I don't feel like I deserve these things at all. I don't feel worthy of these things. And further, I don't know who in the hell I am. That was the start of the dark night of the soul that I mentioned earlier. So not everyone has to go to the depths of despair like I did in a full-on identity disillusionment to rebuild yourself. That's where I come in. I help people I guide people through this process, because make no mistake, this is about a metamorphosis. This is about a metamorphosis. Now you get to decide how fast or slow you want to do this. Sometimes God has other plans for you when you tap into this. I think in my case, it's been like a roller coaster much of the time. and I'm sort of hanging on. And I do things like the ice bath really to calm my nervous system as I'm having these deep realizations on a day-by-day basis. Because literally every time I do a live stream and someone comes on and they have this trauma that they're telling me it's so hard for me to get through this, I've been trying for 10 or 20 years, I feel it deeply. Why? Because I know that I'm creating my own reality. Like even you guys, it's like I see you through my lens of perception. So when you express something, when you show me something, I can't help but feel that and know that it's intrinsically connected with me and my journey. There are no accidents, and we're all connected. So again, I go off on a tangent.
I live for tangents.
Nice.
I do sometimes feel that there is an attachment to pain, and maybe I'm going into like super woo-woo yogic, but like this idea of non-attachment is so hard to detach from pain. And I do feel when people are coming in, whether it's a bar or whether it's a TikTok comment section or whether it's wherever, and they keep replaying what caused their trauma, why they are in pain, it is a cycle. It is a cycle of refeeling that pain, because oftentimes when we talk about our trauma, especially to strangers, we are reconnecting in that pain. We're kind of like drowning in it, swimming in it. And I do think for me, that's what I find oftentimes with people that I encounter, and maybe it's a reflection of me, right? Because we encounter what we are currently in the process of. But what I encounter is oftentimes people stuck in that cycle of reliving that pain. And
that's right.
Finding that detachment, which I will be the first to say, like, sometimes I wonder, why am I feeling this again? Why am I thinking about that again? How to detach.
Let's clarify here. I would never say for you to detach from the pain. Okay. I did say disentangle from the evidence of the senses. Okay. But that was see, hear, touch, taste, and smell. So in other words, the image, the movie in the mind is what I want you to disentangle from. Okay. Why? Because that narrative will continue to fuel those same emotions and vice versa. And that's what the loop is. So most people have this feeling of pain inside them, right? From the past. That pain is then controlling the movie. That movie is then feeding the pain, and it goes round and round. Okay. And that's all evidence of your dominant frequency of vibration. So I want you to think of that pain and that loop as a frequency of vibration. Okay. And it's down here. It's in the low level theme of consciousness. My theme is now pain. It's wounding. My theme. Okay. Bob Proctor called it your paradigm, which is a collection of beliefs. And at the core of the collection of beliefs, at the core of the theme of consciousness is your self-image. It's how you see yourself. Okay. Now that's pretty deep, but I just want you to hold on to that nugget for later because it's going to come up again. Your self-image is at the core of your theme of consciousness. And that is a frequency of vibration that you are chronically vibrating on. Okay. And I tell you all this because in order to get out of this, you're not going to detach from the pain. Okay. Because what you've been doing is living an illusion. You've been believing the lie, which is the movie in the mind. Right? What is that movie doing? It's replaying the traumatic event, or maybe it's got a version of the oppressor in your mind, right? It's got a version of you in your mind that puts you as the victim. Okay. That is all the lie. That self-image that you've inherited has now become the illusion that we believe. When we believe a lie, we suffer. If you take nothing else away from this podcast, remember that, because you can take that one little nugget and it'll change your life. Your pain and suffering is a result of believing a lie, and you can know that, and you can use that. Anytime you feel a negative emotional trigger, a pain of some sort, any sort, it's because you've got an idea in your mind that you have invested in and believed in that's not true. So your work here is to actually sift through and find the truth. And that's what my method does, because I know how sticky it can be, this negative emotion, this low vibration energy. I know how it can perpetuate itself and literally become an addiction. Okay. Joe Dispenza wrote the book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. It is a habit. It's an addiction. And remember when I was talking about chemistry, right? The movie creates an electrical signal in the body and the nervous system that releases chemistry. Well, that chemistry is what we've become addicted to, chemically addicted to your old personality, to your old identity. And we'd rather get that hit of victimhood. We'd rather get that hit of despair. We'd rather get that hit of resentment. That was my hit. That was my drug of choice, resentment. Please make no mistake that resentment is a drug, a chemical drug in the body. We're chemical factories. And we'd rather get that hit than step into the unknown. The unknown is more terrifying to us than the predictable known. What is known? What is known is that movie that's been playing in my mind. What is known is how much pain and suffering I've had to endure. What is known is my perception of reality, where people are a stain on this planet, or they're a virus, or the world's going to hell. You know, that whole perception is the known, and it must be transcended. In order to do that, we need to walk into the unknown. We need to forge a new path. We need to dig deeper and connect. So you said detach. I say connect. Connect with the deeper part of yourself. How do you do that? Well, it's not going to be easy if you've been living in illusion for a while, because you're now going to need to sit with those emotions, and you're going to need to sit with them for long enough until they have a chance to actually come up, be seen by your consciousness, and then you can make a decision. While they're in the unconscious, we can't do anything about it, and they will continue to control our life, and we'll continue to call it fate. That's a quote by Carl Jung, the great Swiss psychiatrist. He said that what stays in the unconscious will continue to control our life, and we will continue to call it fate. And we continue to feel like a victim of the fate that we are handed. But if we sit with it for long enough for it to come up to the surface, so that we, the conscious, creative part of our mind, can look at it and make a decision on whether or not I want to continue to perpetuate that frequency of vibration or not, then we can actually allow that emotion to purge as it was meant to do. It was meant to come in and leave. Instead, it's come in and it's stayed, right? And we're holding on to it, right? Does that all resonate with you guys?
Absolutely. Is that where you encourage like polarity writing?
Yeah, that's one of the powerful PARs, or positive alignment rituals. Polarity writing, where the first part is you brain dump. So you speak your truth the way that it occurs to you now. Okay, and you get it all out in vivid detail. Now, step 2 is to take a clean sheet of paper and re-engage your creative mind. Look at what you wrote on that first page and say, okay, I'm keeping that. I'm letting go of that. That I can tell right now is not serving me. It helps to get it out of your head and get it on paper. Now you can look at it more objectively, okay? And you can decide. Notice how I've said decide several times, because we need to make decisions here, and not just once, repetitively. And that is the value of a PAR, which is a positive alignment ritual that's in your day to day to day to day. You need repetition and emotional impact in order to rewire the system, because it was repetition and emotional impact that wired you this way in the first place. So yes, polarity writing. And then the third step to this exercise, when you've now on this clean sheet of paper, you start to re-engage your creative mind, start to map out the wish fulfilled, right? Which is, okay, I'm going to keep that. I like that. I don't like that. No, that's not working for me. So I'm going to cross that out, and I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to use the polar opposite, hence polarity. The law of polarity is a natural law, states that everything has an opposite, including that vibrational expression right there that I just wrote down on that paper that says, I experience anxiety every day at 2:00. I get overwhelmed every day, ... Well, you strike that and you reverse it and you say, I'm so happy and grateful now that I know my true power. I'm calm, cool, and collected. I'm moving forward towards my goals. I'm making consistent progress. You just start laying it on thick, imagining it in a better way. What are you doing? You're freaking raising your frequency of vibration in real time right now. It's not a one and done thing, but this is the practice. Now, the third part of this exercise is to take that first sheet with all the gruesome details of your current perspective and throwing it in the fire, watching it burn.
Burn, baby, burn.
Yeah. And you're left with that creative, engaging new script for your life. It's powerful.
That sounds, again, algorithm. You had brought up the polarity writing, and then a little while later, like days later, this video popped up on my feed about the 369, I guess, writing. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Oh, yeah. Sure have.
And I'm sure you have. I mean, this is your world. But I thought that was pretty interesting. I'm one of those people that something sticks out to me and I'm like, I should do that. And then I don't. And so maybe that's my aha connection, is to actually do things that I say that speak to me,
yes,
that resonate to me.
Especially synchronicities. If you're noticing synchronicities, that is the universe giving you an opportunity to break through in some way. So yes.
To get the wish fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you work with people on boosting the mindset and helping them learn to rewire, is this like a one-to-one experience, or is it group sessions? Like, how does that work? How does that look like? What does that look like?
Well, I do both. And to me, the most powerful way to approach this is for you to do both. You know, if you're seeking to rewire your mind and reprogram your subconscious mind, I would highly recommend a hybrid of one-on-one work and group work. You know, one-on-one is great because you get that individualized attention and the specific action steps for you, which you're going to get in the group work as well. But the group work adds on that because you see other people, what they're going through. You get to see them being coached in real time. You get to see them being authentic and vulnerable in front of a group. And you yourself get to practice that. Being authentic and vulnerable in a group is incredibly potent and powerful for your healing journey. That's my suggestion on that. And I offer both. I offer one-on-one and group work.
I imagine group work is very empowering. Oh man, that just sounds terrible. Like, every part of me here is be vulnerable in a group. And I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I feel you on that. It is liberating though. I do want to tell you.
Now, I did have a question. You brought up in one of your live streams, the higher, is it factualities? Or was it faculties? I don't know why I took notes because I'm a nerd. So my autocorrect for some reason put.
Check you out. That's awesome.
If you wonder why I keep looking off the side of my screen, I have like a whole notes. So
check you out.
Higher faculties. I don't know why my autocorrect changed that. But you did talk about higher faculties. And I'm curious, where does that come from? Where does that idea come from?
I don't know if we can do a screen share here or not. Is that in the cards or?
Like from you?
Uh-huh.
I think does it let you?
I think you should, yeah, because there's a share button down on the bottom of the, so you should
go
be able
for it. By all means.
You can venture into unknown territory here. Sweet.
Every time you say that, all I could think of is Elsa in Frozen 2. Into the unknown.
It's funny you mentioned that though, because you're going to notice these things in pop culture everywhere. You're going to notice them in religious texts everywhere. It's inlaid in our reality. It's like the clues are all there. You just have to like tune into it. And then you're gonna be like, whoa, now I see. It's cool. Yes. It's really cool.
You know, Adam, Bone Daddy. I keep saying Adam. Hey, Bone Daddy. So it's interesting because pop culture reference, since we're on the topic, you had mentioned, sources in all of us. And it reminded me of the Da Vinci Code. The scrolls that they were looking for that said that God is in everybody. You look under a stone, you find me. You look inside of yourself and you find me, that I'm in everybody. Mm-hmm. And that reminded me of that when you said that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, look around, like almost every movie, you're going to see it, right? And almost every movie is based on the hero's journey. You guys familiar with the hero's journey?
Yeah.
Yeah. We leave our tribe, right? You leave your family, you go out and become an individual. You go on this adventure. You encounter all these challenges. You meet a guide. You go to the depths of despair. You battle the final dragon. You find the elixir and you bring it back. It's this circular motion. And our movies are based on that. Our stories are based on that. Our own personal experiences reflect that. It really does give you this sense of reverence and awe that, wow, okay, there's something going on in my psyche that's being expressed and developing in my life over time. And I'm noticing more and more synchronicities. It can get creepy. It can get creepy for a while where you're like, okay, I got to be careful what I think about here.
I've heard that or seen that pop up in the synchronicities 5 times. You know what's interesting is you mentioned the hero fighting the dragon. What nobody told us growing up is the dragon is actually within ourselves. The dragon is our dark night. We're trying to defeat the rewire. We're trying to rewire.
That's exactly right. You're right. You're absolutely right. They did mention it, but we weren't listening. We weren't really ready to receive that message. You know,
we ignored those words.
It's funny how it works like that. So can you guys see this graphic here? Yeah. Okay. So very quickly, I just wanted to show you guys this. These are the higher faculties that exist in our thinking mind, our conscious thinking mind right here. Imagination, perception, intuition, memory, reason, and will. There's 6 of them. Bob Proctor taught these to me. These are incredible faculties that we have. However, for the most part, they're behind bars. They're sitting there in jail right now. They're not active. What do I mean? I mean our imagination is rendered dull. It's incapacitated. We're not using it. In fact, it reminds me of a quote from Bob Proctor. He used to say, mental activity does not constitute thinking. Mental activity is that automatic thought that happens every day. Same thoughts you had yesterday and the day before and the day before, and you've been having them ever since God knows how long. Okay, that's mental activity. That is not thinking. If you sit down and do the polarity writing exercise, you will have engaged in thinking. You will have re-engaged your creative mind, your imagination. Did that hit? Did that make sense?
Absolutely.
That's how you re-engage your imagination, okay? Perception, the lens through which we see the world, the way we see things, we can actually shift. You ever hear someone say, take off the rose-colored glasses, right? Stop pretending like the world is a certain way. You know, face the facts, put your feet back on the ground, get your head out of the clouds. A lot of things they told us. I say put those rose-colored glasses back on. I say recognize your ability to change your own perception and change your own vibrational frequency and emanate something different than the status quo. Okay? Re-engage your perception. Intuition. This is your conscious recognition of source energy talking to you through emotion. Okay, intuition is very much like emotional intelligence. That is being in touch with your emotions. So I would never say to detach from your emotion. I would say connect with your emotion in a deep, deep level until it becomes less about the pain and it becomes more about vibration. By the way, when you sit in meditation for long enough, you start to feel the vibration in your body. And there may be pain in your lower back, for example. Okay. And the yogis know all about this. You feel into it. You just feel it. And you don't criticize it. You don't judge it. You may be criticizing and judging, like, oh, this sucks. My back hurts so bad. But don't criticize that. Don't judge that. So you have to break the chain eventually. And you say, okay, this is the way it is. And I'm just going to be with it right now. And I'm going to do my best to stop the commentary about it. When you do that, you start to pick up on your vibration and you become really attuned to it. When you're attuned to your vibration, you notice the subtleties on a day-to-day basis whenever something is in resonance with you or whether it's not, right? So a lot of times you can stay in a relationship that's not good for you because you're not in tune. You're ignoring it, or you're numbing it out, or you're telling yourself some story about why it's okay for me to feel totally off with this individual. It could be a business relationship, romantic relationship. It can be a decision you made about finance. It could be anything. Our intuition is actually talking to us, telling us the right answer. If only we could listen and hear it. and be perceptive enough to pick up on what it's telling us. So we can definitely refine and increase our intuition through these practices. Memory. You ever try and deliberately conjure a powerful positive memory from your past? Probably not very frequently. More often, negative emotions just flood right into your memory. More often, you say, oh, well, here's an opportunity for me to, I don't know, invest in myself or go out there and take a risk and do something. But, oh, last time I took a risk, I failed. I got humiliated. I got embarrassed. And so that memory just floods back in automatically. Well, the memories that flood into our mind are based on our chronic frequency of vibration. However, with a decision, you can actually train yourself to remember your wins, your triumphs, your loving encounters with your mother or father, even though your mother and father maybe abused you, right? So we remember the abuse real well, but we don't remember the time that they took us out for ice cream and gave us a hug and supported us in that way. We don't remember those things. Why? Because our vibration, our dominant vibration, is now dictating everything, and we don't have access to use our memory to our advantage. Okay. Same goes for reason. Reason is your ability to deliberate, to weigh the options in a powerful way, in a way that is true to you and effective for you. Instead, we're using someone else's logic, maybe our father's logic. We're using some idea of rationality. We're using practicability. But again, these are all programs, and they restrict our ability to be more reasonable in a way that supports the individual. And willpower. Will, in this context, is the ability to hold an image on the screen of your mind. And that's essentially what I'm talking about here with all these higher faculties. Your imagination is the ability to conjure any image. Like right now, if I said, imagine a purple elephant skydiving while sipping a martini and painting her toenails. You can imagine that. Isn't that funny? You can imagine anything. Yet, are we using it? No. We're watching the television, and that's infiltrating our imagination. We're watching the news, and that's infiltrating our imagination. We're letting any ungodly stream of information into our sacred temple and infiltrate. Okay. So the will is developing the ability to hold an image on the screen of your mind for long enough until it seeps into your subconscious mind and becomes a new program. This is where the program lives here. Notice this is the feeling mind. So in other words, your emotions are really hijacking the whole system. By the way, your self-image, your belief system, and your identity live in this subconscious part of your mind as well. Now, I don't need to get too technical today, but what I really want you guys to understand is that you have these higher faculties, these thinking faculties, these abilities that must be reclaimed. They must be reclaimed. In other words, you have to break the cycle. So if you're listening to this and you're resonating with this, then you're a cycle breaker in this age we're living in. That means you're about to break the cycles of your ancestors and your parents, and you're about to forge a new path.
Mom, cover your ears. No, just kidding.
I'm curious at what John's thinking about right now. John, is this resonating with you?
Yeah, I mean, it's blowing my mind mostly because I've only caught like 1.5 of your lives, and then went back to some of your videos. But
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I know that I definitely need to work on myself and rewire my brain from thinking for a lot of things. So yeah, like my imagination, I used to be super into all kinds of stuff and be able to create whatever. And now just lately, it just seems like nothing. It's like my brain is gone. I have no idea. My imagination's gone. So
it's still there. It's just awaiting your reactivation.
Yeah.
So listen, I want to make sure that this is understandable for you guys in a simple way. So is there any way that I could simplify this for you guys? Anything that's confusing you? Like if you're going to get off this call and attempt to practice this, what would you do?
I guess different aspects speak to each one of us, I imagine. So,
Mm-hmm.
what would you do, John? Like, what's your takeaway?
Meditate more. Actually, focus on meditating more because I
Good.
definitely
Good.
I know that once I start and I don't feel like anything's happening, I just give up and quit. And I'm like, all right, well, I can't meditate. My brain's too busy. It's whatever. And I think I
Mm-hmm.
definitely need to actually sit there and let it happen and make the time for it to actually happen. Nothing's going to happen
Well, let me give you a little
overnight.
tip on that, right? Because if you're sitting there waiting for something to happen in a single session, then you're gonna fall into that critical trap, right? Where it's like,
Right.
I don't think that was very good, and then what's happening is the paradigm is just continuing to run the show. So please understand that you may just like working out at the gym, right? You go to the gym tonight, you're not going to get an immediate result, right?
Right.
You're going to need to go to the gym for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and stack those weeks to start to see the benefits. Similarly with meditation, I don't think it takes nearly as long as it does to train your body as it does to train your energy. Because I think that when you start to train your vibration, the universe steps in and starts conspiring on your behalf, putting things in your path that could potentially help you. However, they may be in the form of a challenge, right?
Yeah,
That's
that
the
makes
thing.
sense. Yeah, that's cool. I'm up for a challenge.
So I want to encourage you that if you were, though, to sit still and silent for 5 to 10 to 15 minutes a day for a week, you would see a shift after that week, during the week at some point. And you're going to notice a subtle shift in your consciousness, or there's going to be a subtle shift in your perspective, or there's going to be a subtle shift in the way you feel when you wake up in the morning. And you may just fall in love with the feeling of being completely present.
Right.
That's what I really want you guys to get across. Like, fall in love with the feeling of being present, because what it feels like to me is exhilarating, right? Meditation in no way, shape, or form is boring to me. When I tap in, I enter a new universe and it feels electric. It feels electric. Okay. So now, if it doesn't feel like that for you right away, don't be like, oh man, I can't do this. I'm no good at
Right.
this. Okay. Just breathe in and tap in and be still and be present. And here's the key: just observe. You're becoming the nurturing observer of your own inner kingdom, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, and your memories, and whatever else comes up while you're sitting there. You're becoming the observer. Now, when you become the observer, something incredible happens. You stop listening to the old story as much. All of a sudden you notice that old thought that comes up. It's like, oh, I want to do better. I want to go after something exciting, or a new relationship. Oh, but there's that old thought. Maybe I'll just stay home and eat Cheez-Its. Maybe I'll just turn on Netflix, right?
That's
It's that
so
old
me, I
thought that
swear. So me.
no, it's me too. No offense, right? I've been through there. I've been through all the phases and back around, right? It's not like you're forever free of the human condition. Okay, it comes back, believe me, and it's cyclical. These things are cyclical, so we always get the opportunity to address those areas of concern where we can grow ourselves. They will come back. Those opportunities in the form of challenges will come back. Your cognitive capacity will rise as you study your mind and as you practice presence, and things will start to shift. Okay. The question is, how much resistance are you going to put up in the way on this path? How much are you going to resist it? How much are you going to insist, I'm not worthy, or I'm not capable, or I'm not confident? How much are you going to insist that they are the oppressor and I am the victim? Okay. It will break apart over time, but it'll happen much faster if you open your heart and you ask these deeper questions and you seek to install a new idea in your mind.
That makes complete and total sense. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I know you recommended the book Psycho Cybernetics. What exactly is that?
It's a book written by Maxwell Maltz, who was a plastic surgeon, became a personal development guru, revolutionary. things he taught. The basis of this book is that we have an automatic mechanism. And if you can recall the graphic that I just showed, the subconscious mind is that automatic mechanism. Remember that that's where your self-image and your paradigm, your belief system is all held. Subconscious meaning it's below the conscious, meaning on a day-to-day basis, we're not really aware of it, but it's running the show. What do I mean by that? I mean, it's causing your thoughts, it's causing your emotion, and it's causing your behavior. And what he says, though, is that if you can learn to reclaim your conscious thinking ability, which is what I was describing when I was talking about the higher faculties that are imprisoned, you want to liberate those. You want to re-engage your creative mind. You want to start re-engaging your imagination and thinking. People often ask me, well, where do I start? How do I start thinking again? Because I realize, okay, maybe I have been thinking automatically. Maybe I have been regurgitating the same old thing for a long time and it's keeping me stuck, right? Where do I start? You ask yourself one very important question. Get out a blank piece of paper and say, what do I want? And it helps sometimes to reference the 6 F's: friends, family, fitness, finances, faith, and fun, I think they are. Just to sort of canvas the different qualities of living, the different areas of life that I may want to improve upon. In cases where you're just not ready to say, well, I want this. Some people are like, well, I want $1 million. I want a business. I want to have financial freedom. I want location freedom. I want the perfect partner. I want a new house. Some people know right off the top of their head what it is they want that they've been blocking themselves from having for some time. Others, if you're like me, you're dumbfounded by that question, like I was. I didn't know what I wanted because I didn't know who I was. But the point still remains. Asking that question starts the transformation, starts the process of self-discovery. So if you're not asking yourself what I want, how I would like to live, and how I could potentially move towards it, first energetically and then physically, then you're not actually thinking, and you're not actually accessing the part of this human being that is our gift. Our gift that we have that is unique to humans that animals don't have is what scientists call neuroplasticity. Okay. Or you can just think of it as a growth mindset. We have the ability to grow. We have the ability to expand. We have the ability to imagine something new. That's where it starts. It all starts in the mind. It all starts with imagining something new. And we wonder what to imagine. Well, how would I like to live? Okay. Now I'm going to caution you. I'm going to warn you. When you ask this question, it's going to immediately activate your what do I deserve paradigm. Okay. That's what happened to me at Bob Proctor's event in 2019. I want to encourage you to take some affirmations with you. If you feel unworthy, if you feel undeserving, if you feel incapable, you have the voice of maybe someone in your mind saying you'll never make it, play it safe, climb the ladder, go to college, whatever it is. I want you to take this affirmation. I'm so happy and grateful now that I know my true power. I create my own reality with the thoughts I choose to think and the feelings I choose to harbor. Good things are on their way to me and everything is always working out for me. I am absolutely and unequivocally worthy and deserving of everything that I truly desire. That thought, that affirmation is associated with a thought that's on a higher frequency than I don't deserve this or I'm not good enough for this. Okay. Install that in your mind on a daily basis. It'll raise your frequency of vibration. It'll give you access to new ideas, new thoughts, new energy into the system. And it'll start a chain reaction of curiosity about, well, what could I do if I actually took control of this system? If I actually accessed my higher faculties for once, or for the first time in a long time. Because we all did this when we were kids. When we were kids, it was our natural mode. We were very imaginative. We were very in touch with our intuition. We knew everything about the world already, but then they systematically trained it out of us. So in this book, he teaches you how to use your higher faculties, so to speak, and it just really gets into the depth and the details on how it works. It's not a book you read; it's a book you study, and it'll show you exactly how to reprogram your subconscious mind.
So, Coach Bones, because you are amazing, and I'm sure those that listen to this, there are going to be some that want to reach out and connect with you. Where can people find you?
Yeah. So Instagram and TikTok is where I disseminate most of, these messages through my content. And if you click the link in my bio on either one of those platforms, you're going to see that there's a link to book a call with me if you want to talk. If you're ready to join my community, Blue Flame Lifestyle, there's a link. Okay. That's a low ticket, a membership. You pay monthly and we meet several times per week. Okay. We meditate together on Sundays. We do introspective journaling on Mondays. We do study club where we read powerful books like Psycho-Cybernetics on Thursdays. And I also do a hot seat coaching session once a week where if someone's struggling with something in particular, I help them shift fast on the call. Okay. That is a group atmosphere. And again, that's very powerful. Okay. The first step to transformation is always going to be speaking your truth. And that is that first part of that polarity writing exercise that I described earlier. Speaking your truth, getting it out of you, getting it on paper, because while it's inside, it's going to continue to, sort of wreak havoc inside of us. And there's also a link in there if you would like to book a one-on-one session with me. I call that a rapid sync session. In 60 minutes, I will help you lift your frequency of vibration. We'll take whatever condition or problem you have going on in your life right now, and I take you through the sync process. It ends with an incredibly powerful set of fine-tailored affirmations and an empowerment script that I then facilitate with a deep sync meditation that uses a very special audio that helps you lower your brain waves so that we can penetrate the conscious mind and directly impact or shift the subconscious mind. Now, it's not a one and done thing. However, this will be a permanent shift. Okay, you're going to need to practice it ongoing to bring it into your life and to continue the shift. Okay, because the problem with doing this kind of work is that it's very stimulating while you're doing the work, but then when you go back to your normal life, it sort of takes you with it a lot of times. And so you got to have a practice in your day to day. And so I set you on that course anytime I work with you in whatever capacity, and I give you the rituals to install in your life going forward. And the last place you can reach me is It's Linktree/Coach Bones Mindset, and that'll take you to the same link that's in my bios on those social platforms.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. Did you have any final thoughts before we wrap this amazing session up?
I just want to thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it so much. I appreciate the really insightful questioning. The questions really help, drive the conversation. So aside from that, I just want to encourage everyone to turn your attention inward. In psychology and in therapy, they call this going from an external locus of control to an internal locus of control. And that is the most important move you can make. Because while the external world, that is the opinions of your friends, your family, even your teachers or your coworkers, your boss, or your pastor, even the narrative in the media, government propaganda, all together taken collectively, I call it the social narrative. While the social narrative, that external world, is controlling you, you will forever be disconnected from your power and your ability to level up your life in an incredibly powerful way. So shifting from an external to an internal locus of control, turning your attention inward, looking within, feeling within, making time for you. Okay. You got to have you time or me time on the calendar every day to do this work.
Thank you so much for being present in this moment with us and sharing all of your different topics that you're passionate about. I don't know about you, John, but again, everything you say resonates with me, and synchronicities are just abound and afoot. And I appreciate you being willing to come on and share with us.
Yeah, this was awesome.
I had a great time.
This was really good.
Although I definitely feel like you had to talk about introspection as you speak to these things. It's like I feel myself already working through it. So
yeah, I can tell you're in the work, no doubt.
All good things. John, you have anything to add?
No, other than, I'm definitely going to work on the meditating and doing it more than once and giving up. So I'm going to try it for a week and see where I go and see what
Yeah.
happens for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Meditate and journal. Those are the two things, right? To keep it super simple.
Yeah.
Meditate to deprogram your mind, and then journal to start the reprogramming. Right?
Absolutely.
And remember, there's no one way to meditate.
No.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Re-engage your creative mind.
I gotta free it. Free that prisoner.
That's right. Liberation.
Liberation.
Yes.
Right? By the way, I was born on the 4th of July, so independence has been a theme in my life since the day I was born.
Awesome.
All right, John Thomas, you want to bring us home?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you again, Coach Bones. I'm not calling you Bone Daddy.
Bone Daddy.
But I will say that every time she said it, I kept going back to A Nightmare on Before Christmas with the old man. Nice work, Bone Daddy, or whatever he says. So I'm like, every time that image just popped into my head. So
Nice.
It was, and I knew she would find a way to work it in there more than once. But yeah. Thank you for coming on. Again, it's been fantastic. I'm learning a lot. I hope that our listeners, whoever needs to hear, is definitely listening and hearing what they need to hear out of this. So, yeah, I believe everything happens for a reason. So,
yeah, man. Same here.
Be present in the moment and pay attention to your synchronicities.
yeah.
The universe is talking to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sometimes I ignore it. I need to stop.
Put it on silent.
Yes, come back to you later. No. No. Thank you for our listeners for listening and our viewers who had viewed this live. Very much for listening to this episode of 300 Podcast. I keep messing this up, I swear. With your host, I'm John Thomas, I think.
I am Ashley Lunar Goddess.
If you have any episode suggestions, comments, questions, concerns for any of us right now, like me, please feel free to email us at 300podcast@gmail.com. And if you haven't done so already, you better like, follow, and subscribe to all of our social media. You don't want to miss amazing guests like Mr. Bones here.
Like Mr. Bone Daddy.
Appreciate you guys. This was a lot of fun.
Until next time. Are you looking for more awesome podcasts? Head on over to withoutyourhead.com for access to the Without Your Head podcast network, where you'll find a variety of podcasts sure to keep you entertained and coming back for more.